Hey, welcome back to Life You Imagined. My name is Nico, and today I want to talk about something really basic. Probably one of the most core questions you might have if you've seen any of these videos. And that is, why do any of this self-improvement bullshit in the first place? If you're anything like me, at least the way I was years back, I used to think that reading any of this self-improvement stuff was just a bunch of fucking bullshit. Bunch of nonsense, who fucking cares? And it's not that I thought that every single book didn't have at least one tiny piece of advice, but I didn't care. I go, why is this relevant to me? Why did I think that? Because I thought, if I can just be successful, if I can just be successful and make money and have some sense of maybe even fame, and this was me younger, by the way, got to stress that. Have that based upon what I love to do. Making music, making albums, playing live, making art or videos or writing, who knows, writing films, whatever it is I feel like doing. If I can make my life centered around that, then I would be happy. Then life would be worth living. Everything would come from that. Have you thought something similar to that before? Being that you are a creative person, because I know you so well. We go back years, remember? Remember when we met at the thing? That thing, tell you, good or bad. Memories, depending upon what it was. But I think a lot of creative people, writers, actors, performers, designers, musicians, we tend to think that what we really want, what's going to help us in life, is just more tips on how to be successful, how to turn our art into an income stream, or to get it out there in front of people, to play more, act more, write more, perform more, and have that be our metric for survival, have that be the staple of what we do, the center of our lives. And while I'm not telling you that that is not something to pursue, I am going to tell you that the view that your creative projects are going to make you happy is not fully accurate. There is definitely good things from it, but it's not going to provide you with a sense of fulfillment, happiness, satisfaction, the things I think we're all looking for in life. We want to live a good life. Yeah, I don't think that can be disputed by too many people. There's some people that are miserable fucks and want to live a shitty fucking life, and they want to be pissed at everything and they want to hate everything. Not that I've ever been there in my life before. But besides those miserable fucks, which I used to be, most of us want to live a good life, but we don't know how to go about it. And we assume that it's just about doing the one thing that we really enjoy doing. Like, again, for me, selfishly, it would have been being plucked out of obscurity, in my younger years as a musician, as in the band I was working with. And I was like, oh, they're going to find me and they're going to give me money. Here you go. Here's free money to just write music and to be a fuck-off, egotistical piece of shit and do whatever you want to do. And we'll just sit back and give you money because that's how business works. No. At first glance, it's very easy to think you would never want to learn all these things because they have nothing to do with the thing you think you want, which is the career or to be sustained financially by your art and your passion. You might be thinking, well, why am I going to read a bunch of health and nutrition books? I'm not trying to be a fucking personal trainer or a bodybuilder. I don't care about dieting. I don't fucking care. I just want to do the thing I love. I just want to do my art. Like, why am I caring about fucking stuff about psychology and mindfulness and shit, or meditation? Because I want to be laying a cushion and be a Zen master. Stupid. I don't care about that shit, man. I want to do the thing I love to do, man. I want to perform. That's what I want to do. I want to dance. I want to sing. I want to be on stage. I want to write fucking books. That's what I want to do. Why do I have to read books on business and entrepreneurship? I'm a businessman. I have a briefcase. I'm a businessman. In case you couldn't tell, that was a mocking tone of voice. You can use that in the future. That's right. That's right. It's a great way to work on our relationships. Oh, relationships! There's another category. Oh man, tell you what. Why the fuck do I want to read about that shit? Right? Oh, I didn't do the mocking voice. Fuck. Consistency out the window. So let's take a look a little bit more at this idea that all you need to do is focus on the one thing that you really love to do, your passion project, whatever that may be, and learn to be successful at it, and then you'll be happy. Let's look at people who have basically achieved what you want to achieve, who are living the dream. They have money, they have success in their field, they've accomplished really interesting, cool things that you might admire or look up to and go, fuck, I wish I could do that, that's awesome. It feels like, from the outside perspective, that they have it all, right? That if you could only have a version of that, then you would be living a good life. You would be happy and fulfilled and satisfied, and many other adjectives that I like to use. And sadly, there's been a lot of examples of musicians and writers and actors and performers of all kinds who have, even in the last few years, either directly or indirectly, taken their own lives. Just a few years ago, we heard about the news of Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. And the same year, not too far after that, I think it was within weeks, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. Now, again, regardless of how you feel about these people or their music, these are still human beings with families, with lives, and both of these people, maybe, depending on what you're interested in, may have had lives that you wish you had. They may have done things you wish you did. We also have other examples from other industries as well. Actors, Robin Williams. You have people that on the surface look like they're gregarious and fun. I'm jokey guy. I'm always fun. Look at me. I'm on. But of course, that can be partially a sign of manic depression. We know that that's the manic side, but what about the depressive side? And unfortunately, that got the better of him. And it's sad. It's fucking sad. All three cases are sad. And there's numerous cases throughout history of artists and creative types drinking themselves to death, overdosing, almost by choice. I mean, not directly, didn't say, hey, I'd like to overdose today, but because of how they feel, because of what they're going through in their lives, their stress, their struggle, their self-worth issues, their anxiety, depression, that they push that button because it's the only thing that gives them an escape from the pain. And I think that's something we need to think about. Here are these people that have these lives that we often admire and say, that's what I want. I want to do those things. Maybe your own way, but you want to do something like that. If I had their success and their money and their fame and their opportunities and, boy, I would be really happy. Would you? I know you think you might, but would you? Because we have examples to the contrary. And it's just the three people. There's your sample size. There's numerous examples throughout history of all kinds of people over hundreds of years. People who destroyed their lives, people who killed themselves, people who have histories of mental and emotional instability and trauma and have destroyed their bodies in doing their chosen art. Look at rock stars. Fucking themselves up completely. They look fucking awful. So many of them who lived through the partying decades. But look at what it does to them. And also understand where are they coming from in which they choose to do that. That's important to think about too. And what I've noticed from knowing a lot of creative people, from watching a lot of this stuff, reading a lot about creative people and their lives, and from just, living my own life, being miserable a lot of the time, and being in a shitty place, is that creative people are often some of the most fucked up people out there. I don't generally like to use the term fucked up, but I'm gonna go ahead and use it anyway. I was there, so many of my friends were there, so many people that I looked up to have been through these things. And we do it to ourselves. We fuck up our bodies, we fuck up our minds. One thing that I really liked was a phrase by a mindfulness meditation teacher. His name is John Kabat-Zinn, and he wrote a book with the title, Wherever You Go, There You Are. I've always liked that title, always. Since I was born, I liked that title when the book wasn't written. Since I read that, I've really liked that title. And to me, my interpretation of that is you bring yourself to everything. So no matter what type of opportunities or success you might have maybe in the future, if you're lucky to achieve some of these goals you have, you're still bringing this person right now, you're bringing that person to that situation. The situation is not going to magically change who you are and make you happy. It's not going to force you to be fulfilled and satisfied in life. You're just bringing all of your own shit that you're dealing with today, all of your anxiety, your depression, your low self-worth, your perhaps difficulty dealing with other people, your ego shit. You're bringing all of this to a place where there might be opportunities for money and success and fame, which can actually be negative triggers and only amplify all those other negative feelings and thoughts. You're not bringing a healthy, balanced person to the situation who can then handle success and money and fame. And again, these things do not create happiness. So, if happiness does not directly come from success or fame or money or doing the thing we want to do that we're passionate about, at least not fully, entirely, then what do? I know you still want to do these things because I still want to do them. I still want to work on my music and art and writing and do videos and do cool performance stuff and whatever, a million other things. But I've realized over the years of doing things the old way that it didn't create a life that I wanted to live. In fact, I was fucking miserable. Absolutely fucking miserable and bitter and shitty. And I'll talk about that later. But it didn't work. And it was only after reading about happiness and a lot of studies that have been done that I started to understand that happiness is a little more complicated than just doing the one thing you love and being successful and having money and fame and whatever satisfaction from these things. That's nice. That's a nice thing to achieve, and I still encourage you to achieve it. But it's a multifaceted thing. It's about working on many different areas of our lives that do and have been shown to directly contribute to our sense of well-being and happiness. These are not just random, who gives a shit topics. Well, some of them could be. There's some books in here that I was kind of like, meh. So if who you are now, how you feel about yourself and your life and everything, if that's the person who's going to be going to any of these situations you imagine, how is that person going to handle them? And would it make more sense to be able to work on that person so that you're bringing a person who is more well-adjusted and can deal with life better and deal with themselves better to the situation, and they can actually handle it? And, I don't know, what's that thing we wanted to do? Live a good life, be happier, more fulfilled, satisfied. So that's why I've started to focus on learning and growing and trying to improve many areas of my life. Some of those key things that I always recommend that people start working on or start exploring, of course, basic stuff, mental, emotional, and physical health. I do tend to lump those as one thing because it's all connected. Emotional health, because most of the problems you're dealing with are probably emotional. Anxiety, depression, low self-worth, it's how we feel about ourselves. So learning to improve that, our ability to feel and process and deal with these emotions in a much more productive way, probably be a good thing, yeah? Our mind, important to improve, because so much of what we do in life is based on our thoughts about it, our perception of those things, how we interpret them. And so the way we look at life and how we think about it often determines how we feel about it. And as we know, our feelings tend to be the things that causes most of our problems. So improving our ability to think about the world and ourselves, being able to work on our mindset, makes a huge difference. We can bring that to everything. And our physical health, even though you may not want to be a marathon runner or a bodybuilder, or you don't care about diets, once you start learning about how much nutrition affects the body, which then of course affects the brain, which is, I don't know if you know this, but that's how you think and feel. Those two things we just established as being important. When you see how all these things are this symbiotic relationship, health becomes extremely important too, and learning to improve your health. Obviously, losing weight will go a long way toward making you feel better about who you are and how you look, which then helps you feel better about your life. That's just how it works. That happened to me when I gained weight, lost the weight, already felt better. There was one thing down. Didn't have to achieve all my goals yet, just started to lose weight. It's like, okay, that works. Nice, feel better. Our relationships. Our relationships are actually one of the most important things when it comes to living a good life. I read research a while ago that talked about one of the main indicators from people who said they live a very satisfied, fulfilled life is quality, deep, strong relationships with people they care about. And initially, I was actually kind of not against it. I was like, oh, really? Because I tend to be a hermit. I'm not very social. So the fact that they said being social and with, cultivating these deep relationships is very important and one of the biggest indicators of you living a happy life. And I was like, oh, damn it. Do I have to be social now? Look. So I don't know, maybe you're hermit-ish as well, and that sounds stupid, but I'm just telling you what the data says. This is just what science says. Money. Money's important. Did you know that? I've actually tried to ignore it most of my life. Creative people are notoriously bad at money management and understanding money, financial education. We're just shitty. We're just shitty. So it makes sense for us to improve our ability to understand money, to work with money, and to use it to our own advantage. So we can have more opportunities to invest in our creative stuff, to live in a better environment, to live in a better situation, to do things that are fun. A lot of these things take money. Again, didn't know if you knew that. Enjoyment. Seems like a funny category to bring up, but if you're like me, not everyone is in this particular group here, but some creative types are very hard on themselves and constantly delay gratification and don't allow themselves to have fun in the now and enjoy the now. I was saying boo earns. So if you're in that category, if you find yourself just like, I just have to do my thing, I just have to work on my stuff, and I don't have time to be doing stupid fun things, I don't care, that comes later. If you're in that category, learning to enjoy your everyday life and learning to enjoy the process as you work towards your goals is extremely important to living a life that you actually want to live. Go figure. Liking stuff, doing fun things, what? It's fucking nuts. It used to be nuts to me. Isn't that sad? It's kind of sad. And also, and though this is not an exhaustive list, self-awareness, learning, and critical thinking. Learning about yourself, how you are, how you think, how you behave, how you feel, how you act is extremely important because that way we can understand more clearly how we are, like I just said, and we know what to work on. We know what we're excelling at, we know what we're deficient in, we know what areas are causing problems because we're willing to do that work to really understand ourselves. To be constantly learning and growing is extremely important, I feel. I have a kind of a motto, which is always be learning. And critical thinking, this is our ability to look accurately at ourselves and the world so we can make better decisions that are based on what's more likely to be true about things. So this is why I do this. I was there. I was suffering. I was doing the old way harder. I was just focusing on all I want to do is be successful at my music and my art, and then everything will be fine, and then I'll just magically be happy. And I had to realize through going through all the shit of those choices that it's not true. Let's understand that there are a bunch of other things that actually contribute to us living a full, satisfied, content, happy life. that most of us are not focusing on. We think they're random, superfluous, stupid things, like who cares? That's not me. I'm not an athlete. I don't have to be physical. I don't care about fucking business. I don't want to make that. Like, well, you want to be successful at what you care about, right? There's business aspects to that. You want to not feel like shit when you wake up in the morning, right? Well, there's nutrition and health aspects to that. You want to not be miserable all the fucking time, right? Well, there's mental, emotional aspects to that. You want to cultivate good relationships with people. You want to feel like people aren't always out to get you, or they suck, or people are a fucking dick, because that may not be their problem. But I know what it's like to suffer through that shit. And I want to help you get out of that, because most of what we do in our lives that keeps us from our goals, keeps us from feeling fulfilled and content and satisfied and happy, is not the rest of the world. It's not our lack of opportunities. It's not the fact that someone didn't discover us. It's us. It's fucking up here. This is what does it. You're doing it to yourself. It's fucking self-sabotage, and you probably don't even know it. So let's stop fucking ourselves over and allow ourselves the opportunity to enjoy our lives. So thanks for having this discussion with me. This is something I really wanted to get off my chest for quite some time. Go back to the basics of why us creative types, or really anyone, but focusing on you, why don't we just focus on building the big career and becoming famous and having money and being successful? That's a thing. That's one thing of many, but I'm hoping that I showed a little bit about why that might not be the thing to focus on exclusively. So thanks as always for watching. I do appreciate your time and having these discussions with you. This is Life You Imagined. My name is Nico, and hopefully I will see you next time. I need a continuity person off camera. Nope. You just changed your shirt. Nope. Books are different in the background. I'm gonna change that. It's all fucked up. People are gonna hate this now because of the continuity. Not because of me, which is the reason to hate it, is me. That's the reason. I'm also the reason for the season. Now you know.
Hey, you want to be a better person? You want to live a better life? Sweet! Make sure you hit subscribe on Life You Imagined YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that fucking notification bell so you're always up to date with all the newest offerings from Life You Imagined. Don't forget to go ahead and hit like on the video and share with all your friends. Leave a comment with all your fucking useless information, because I'm never going to read it. Oh, and make sure you go over to lifeyouimagine.com and check out everything I have over there. Look at me, buy my stuff, do everything I want you to do. Sales, marketing, promo. Buy my stuff, buy it. Look at me, pay attention to me and everything I do. I'm insecure.